when we determined our cost, not the price, but our cost of providing the undergraduate education that we provide to our students, that's on the order of about $70,000. Of that amount, we charge about half that, $35,000 or so, in tuition. And of that amount, we collect, because of scholarships and other support, about one half of that. So in effect, we collect 1/4 of the cost of us providing.
Subsidize the other 3/4.
Yes. So it's a little odd. I mean, we recognize the burden that the costs of education place on families. On the other hand, one ought to recognize where else do you have a product in which the demand is overwhelming. That is, we have 15,000 applications for 950 slots, and the price is 1/4 of your cost on average. So higher education is expensive, but it, in many ways, is an extreme value proposition, at least for schools like Rice.
I noticed that in the last 7 days or so, Rice joined the edX initiative that the University of Texas, among other large institutions, have gotten into. This is becoming the next conversation. Can you talk a little bit about why you all got involved in that?
So it enables you to deliver substantive content in many ways offline, what's called really the flipped classroom. So when the students go home at night, they listen to the lectures, sometimes they can interact, and you can get feedback before the class the next morning about what they're not understanding. And then in the class, you can focus on what they actually had trouble with. Now what happens, they may or may not do the reading, you go into class, and you have no idea as a teacher what they've already understood or not understood. So the first thing is a more efficient use of time. And if you look at the design of sort of today's classroom, it's not the sort of auditorium set up for passive learning. It's what I call sort of, we're importing the model of early elementary school education into higher education. So you remember all those little round tables and chairs and little tiny chairs and things. It's just like that, only the chairs and tables are a little bigger for our students. And one of the things that I like to say about Rice, which is different than a lot of urban universities, was that if you took Rice off the map of Houston and said you could put the university back wherever in the city you wanted to put it, you would actually put it back exactly where it is.
Why?
At one end of the campus, we have the Texas Medical Center, the largest medical center in the world, and all of the opportunities that provides. At the other end of the campus, we have the museum district, really a phenomenal district with some of the great museums of this country. Across the street, Herman Park, really couldn't ask for a better environment than our students have here. So I think it's very important that Houston see Rice as an important piece of the fabric of the city, that we don't sit behind our hedges, that our faculty, students, and staff contribute to the city. We're very proud of the level of our United Way contribution, which despite our small size, puts us in among the major contributors to the city. What we do in K-12 education in this city and in the state, most people don't know this. We are the largest provider in the state of Texas of online STEM materials for K-12 education.
Could you talk a little bit about how you build a freshman class and what those characteristics that you look for students coming to this great university are?
Well, how do you build it, and specifically, how do you build a diverse class? Because obviously you don't want 400 of the absolute smartest kids. You want a well-rounded class, right?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm glad you put it the way you put it, which is how do you build a class? And I think there's a real misunderstanding out there. The sense that somehow you can build a rank order of your 15,000 applicants and just go right down that list and, just until you fill your class. And that's not what we're actually trying to do. We're trying to do a lot of different things. We do think having this diversity in our class is central to our education. And so, first of all, unless you can succeed at Rice academically, you're not going to get in. So, and that's looking at high school performance and looking at SAT scores or ACT scores and really getting a sense of whether somebody has what it takes to succeed. And that's a fairly substantial range of people. Some are going to have perfect SATs. We don't admit everybody with perfect SATs to Rice. We could pretty much fill the class with people with perfect SATs. But first of all, the person with perfect SATs isn't even always the smartest person. actually, if that's what you're trying to measure. There are a lot of things that go into an assessment of drive and intellect and breadth and accomplishment. And so we are looking at standardized tests. We are looking at their performance as high school students, and we're pretty careful about that. So we look at the rigor of the courses they took, at the rigor of the high school. Is the high school sending a lot of people to colleges, not sending a lot of people to colleges? Are they taking honors courses or not taking honors courses? We have a very careful approach to that. We look at recommendations. What are people saying about this candidate? We look at their accomplishments. We look at what are the range of things that they're doing. Have they demonstrated leadership? Right? Have they participated in athletics or music? In certain parts of the university, such as architecture and the music school, there we're looking for very specialized talents, right? And if you want to be a student in our music school, you actually have to come and do an audition if you're lucky enough to be selected to get the audition, which alone is a pretty high standard. So we're looking to bring together in each class 950 people who together are going to create the most interesting educational environment on this planet. That is our goal.